Good evening, Naptown. Good evening, everybody. Good morning, if you're in London. A little bit later than usual because I was busy in the garage. So apologies for keeping you all waiting. Good evening, Padre Piper. Cheers, everybody. Oh, that's good. Good morning, Tim. Hanukkah Sameach to you too. Starts tonight. Sunday night it starts. So definitely looking forward to that. Good morning, Robert. How are you? Alvin Brooks, how are you doing? Well, the reason I was late was because I was finishing off my first bulldog, believe it or not. Hi, Josh. And I'll be honest with you, it was a struggle. Hector, how are you doing? I'm really not very happy with the result. It's not terrible. It's eminently smokable. The drilling is fantastic. Very happy with the drilling. And pretty much happy with the mechanics of it. Just that diamond aspect of it. And I mean, Jordan will be able to confirm this, but I guess it's about technique and practice, but I just found it a nightmare. I'll be perfectly honest with you guys. I find it to be an absolute nightmare. So, besides for that diamond shaping, the rest of it, pretty bang on. I will show it, Hector. Patience, my good friend. I'm just cleaning it out with a pipe cleaner because I might even just fire it up because I just don't feel that I can let anybody else have this. I'm not. Well, I'm sure you'll all tell me what you think. Genuinely, please. No good having non-genuine feedback. Well, the truth is I can see it for myself. But I'm going to show it to you. Hang on, Padre. I'm just giving it a little clean and putting it back together. So the main challenge obviously was the diamond aspect of it and the effect that it had on the stem, because I started off obviously with a round rod stem. It was actually a stem shape, but I completely redid it. I mean, effectively I made this stem from scratch. Alright, well there we go, people. Hi Joe, hi Beowulf. We made our first bulldog, yes. Bit of a car crash to me, but it's a bulldog shape anyway. It's a straight bulldog, and here it is. Bated breath, everybody. So the basics of it are fine. The bowl is great. You know, the graining is good, the sanding is good, but the shaping was just an absolute nightmare. So this was a round stem. You can see here it's a bit lumpy, and just because I'm not used to the whole process of sanding in a triangle form, I ended up, when I was trying to sand this, I actually did this on a belt sander to try and get straightness. I ended up sanding the edge off this, so I had to cut it so I got it thick enough to be able to make my own bit. So I made that bit. Why isn't it focusing? So I made that bit from scratch really, and it kind of looks like it. It's okay, it's smokable. North Country. I don't know why my focusing is off this morning. Hang on a second. Might be just dust from the workshop. Just a second while I clean you guys. Also, it might go blank for a second because I'm just checking the Wi-Fi. Just bear with me. Okay, the Wi-Fi is fine. There we go. Looks like there's a slight... No, it just needs pushing together. It's not quite there. Let me just check that. Yeah, the countersig's okay. Might just be a bit of dust. Oh, I don't know about that, Padre. Really not happy with this at all. I mean, it's really shaping that was just a complete departure for me. An absolute complete departure. And for some reason, the stem is not meeting perfectly. Well, just one of those things. There we go. So up to this point we're okay. So the bowl's alright, drilling's perfect. So it's really just the shaping of the triangle. The rest of it's fine, it'll smoke fantastically. I might even fire it up now. Right, Jordan, yeah, I can believe that. I almost just gave up with this one as well. As I was saying, when I was sanding these sort of straight edges, did it on the belt sander. Actually, I did it on the disc sander. You know, one of those combination sanders with a belt and disc, so you don't actually have access to the edge. And I just swept it across the disc in order to get a straight edge. And I did it without thinking. Obviously, it's the first time I've done this shape, and I just sanded off the whole edge there. So I had to trim it off about 1/2 inch and start again. So that's what we have. Not too bad. Oh, I don't know if I'll be attacking another bulldog for a while yet. Right, Hector, it's not a bulldog, why not? Is that because of the bowl shape? Is it because the bowl should be coming to a point here? I kind of did it a little bit further back, but yeah, I hear what you're saying. Hi, Daniel. Well, it's certainly the most complicated pipe I've done to date. But my personal favourite at the moment is the one that I did just before that. Must be honest. This one, I think, is my personal favourite for a lot of reasons. It's just so well balanced. The shape might not be as complicated, but obviously the grain is really very, very nice. The rustication came out really cool. LCS 75. Really nice pearlescent stem with a really cool little bend. Lovely grain. And this was one of those that just sort of, you know, all the planets aligned very, very nicely. and this one's sold straight away. Yeah, if I had the choice to keep it, I would, but I've sold it, so sold is sold. You like the butt cheeks, Hector? Right, I'm behind on the messages, everybody, so just give me a second to scroll back. Where are we? Alvin Brooks, beeswax will fix that right up. Yeah, maybe. Bulldogs aren't easy scot-free. You said it. Thank you, Robert. Too hard on myself. Yeah, I guess so. I suppose we're all our most hardest critics. Looks good, kind of a hybrid 320 on Bulldog. I guess you're saying that because of the way that stem goes up there. Always get straight back on the horse. Absolutely, North Country Fisher. But I'm actually going to be out of town for a few days, so I think that'll be it for a week or so till the new year. That's the pipe that I made. I started this. When did I start this? I think I started this on Friday morning, and it's my first attempt at a Bulldog, which Hector says is not a Bulldog, but it's my attempt of one anyway. Wildcat Sam 77, how you doing? So this is your pipe is next. This is 76. So your pipe is next, Wildcat. You'll have to remind me again what it is you're after. Send me a message, and I'll try to accommodate. But it'll be in the new year now. The top as well isn't most sort of coned. What? Not with you there, Alvin. Not sure what you mean by that. Ken, hi Ken, how you doing? The Rhodesian sitting on the ashtray. That's one here. Well, that's certainly the pipe that I smoke the most of my pipes. This fella here gets good use. I have been smoking quite a lot of the lumper coal as well. That's been getting a fair bit of burn time. As you can see, that smooth room is virtually black. I'll have to clean that. The planets aligned very nicely indeed, Padre. Great looking pipe, one of my favourites. Thank you, Hector. Appreciate that. A fine evening to you, gents, and to you too, Tree. How you doing? Okay, I think I'm up to date. Time for a swig of coffee. Hi Tim. I'm off fairly local. I'm not going to advertise it all over the internet waves, but nowhere too far. Thank you, Daniel. Yeah, it's quite a cool little stem, this one. It was a bit of a bugger to do, but the bit on it, it looks a little bit like a Paul Menard. Not executed like a Paul Menard, but it looks like it from a distance, the way it rounds off. I've had quite a few Paul Menard pipes, but there you go. Not to Yorkshire, I'm afraid, no. Yeah, that lump of coal, the charcoal pot poker, scot-free, has definitely had a very, very positive response. A lot of people have commented on it, so I will definitely be making some more of those. Well, Daniel, this actually did start off as a pressed stem, but in actual fact, I ended up, it was pretty much cut completely in the end, because I had to cut off the bit because I oversanded it. So I took it back about 1 centimetre. It was actually up to there, and I took it all the way back, and I had to shape that bit myself. And obviously this was round, so this is all completely shaped by myself. So essentially this one is actually a hand cut stem, in all intents and purposes. Yeah, that's a cool idea, Ken. It's not easy carving out, excuse the pun, carving out a pipe which sort of identifies you. I remember when I first sort of was getting somewhere with my carving, I was thinking that I was going to really get into the long, thin, sort of Liverpool style pipes, but kind of moved on from there. Although I did enjoy doing those. Might still go back to that. But I'm really enjoying these rusticated pipes. I just find them also really hard work. You need a lot of elbow grease to get that rustication. And really, I'd love to be able to find some kind of tool that would automate it to some extent at least, but I don't think it exists. I mean, you could probably make something, but watching the videos at Castello and these kind of places, it's also all done by hand from what I can tell. Yeah, I've often thought that, Alvin. I really have thought that a lot. It would be great if YouTube would allow some kind of sharing of photos while we're live. I don't know why they don't. Presumably because it would end up people sending all sort of undesirable images. My pipes are a cross between Moretti and Mario Grandi pipes. Well, I'll take that as a huge compliment. I wouldn't say that myself. And I'm not talking about quality now, I'm talking about just the looks, but that's just me. Well, I don't know, Beowulf. Really and truly, I need to get some advice on it and speak to some carvers and how they approach it, in order to. Merry Yuletide to you too, Tree. An air-powered pin scaler. Don't know what that is, I'm afraid. What's easier to make, a rusticated or a smooth? Well, they both are and they both aren't, because when you're rusticating a pipe, when you're making a pipe like that, obviously you're going to shape the bowl and the stem, the shank, as best as you can, but you don't have to worry about it being perfect because you're rusticating it anyway. But if you look at that, it's perfectly circular. So it's really important in order for it to have a good look when it's rusticated, it needs to really start as a good base shape. You can't just have a completely rough looking thing and then just, because it's rusticated, hope it's going to look okay. So I do believe that you still, whilst you wouldn't sand it to a high grit, you'd certainly sand it. I still sanded this. I probably sanded this to about a 240 or maybe even a 320 or maybe even a 400 grit before I rusticated it, in order to get the shape as uniform as possible. And in terms of smooth pipes, the amount of sanding that goes into it to get a really, really good result takes time and effort, like everything else, It's the same as everything in life. Everything takes time and effort. The more you put in, what you reap is what you sow. So the more effort that goes in, the quality is what it results in a better quality coming out. This one here, I sanded and resanded so many times because I was trying to get that shape right, and I had to keep on revisiting it, and then it just, it was a bit of a nightmare. But the bowl here is a bit sort of not quite equal. It's a bit lopsided. I can sort that out. But it's getting used to this whole sort of bit on the side here. And sort of making sure as much as possible that these sides are equilateral, which they're not in this pipe. They're most definitely not. It is a little bit lopsided, but it doesn't look too bad. Truth be told, if I rusticated this now, it would probably look pretty good. But it's actually got quite a nice grain. Question is whether I should just fire it up now or not. I've recently sort of fired up quite a few pipes, and I'm in danger of not being able to break them in properly because there's too many new pipes going on. I have a. It's not a bulldog. You're quite right, Hector. It's not a bulldog. Oh, actually, I think you are right. I think you are right indeed. That was a Tom Phillips pipe. Hang on. I thought you were talking about the Guard Hill pipe, which is here somewhere. So I thought you were talking about this pipe here, with these sort of butt cheeks, as you call them. But what you're actually referring to is this pipe here, which is a Tom Phillips Bulldog, like that, which is probably in my mind is what I was trying to achieve. And it's not a million miles away, is it? I mean, obviously in terms of perfection it is, but in terms of the idea, it's not a million miles away. In terms of that butt cheek idea, anyway. The rest of it is, this one is fantastic. It's a great looking pipe. Haven't smoked it in yonks. Maybe I'll fire this one up tonight. The half-bent 2002 Stanwell. When I recently sold one of my Stanwells, there were one with a triangle shank. That one there. It's a possibility, I suppose. Anything's possible. Thank you, Josh. The mind's racing. You and your body parts. Right, let's see what we're going to smoke. I could give that Haddo's Delight a first try, which I got from Andrew Sirigliano, but I wanted to do a proper first impressions of this one. 2012 as well, so cool, so generous. If you haven't seen the video, check out the video a few videos back on my channel. My meet-up with Andrew Sirigliano when he was here in the UK. Midwest Pipe Smoker. I don't recall, but it's I probably wouldn't admit that anyway. It wouldn't be fair to the person without asking them. Not that it's anything sort of high secret, but just, you know, not everybody wants everybody to know everything about themselves. Sandro, ciao. How you doing? Happy holidays. Hey Grant, can you go too far with sanding a pipe? For sure, absolutely you can. You can overbalance the shape of the pipe if you sand it too much. But in terms of the finish, no, you can't. You can just keep sanding it, going higher and higher grit until you get a really glassy finish. But certainly you can ruin it if you sand the shape out of it. And why don't you fill a sandpit instead of sanding it out? Well, obviously sanding it out is better. So that it's not there at all. But in terms of filling a sand pit, I don't generally fill them. I must be honest, overall I've been lucky with my pipes in terms of the smooth ones, and the ones which are really bad I'll just rusticate. Rum topping? Is there a rum topping in there? Really? Stout blend of Virginia tobaccos with a generous measure of long cut Perique, unflavoured black Cavendish, and a little air-cured ribbon provides fullness, body, and a bit of extra strength. An exclusive process then darkens and marries the mixture. The flavour is full on the palate, earthy, slightly sweet, and intriguingly piquant, with overtones of figs and raisins. I don't think there's rum in this. I've never heard of it. Oh, he used to soak it in rum. Oh, I see. Right, okay. I don't think there's a rum topping on this. Yes, there is, says Hector. Well, let's check it. It does say rum flavouring. Well, I stand corrected. I don't know why it doesn't say it on the tin though. It's a bit odd. I must be honest with you, I've tried quite a few navy rummy kind of things and I never get the rum in the blends. I never actually, if you're saying it's quite forward in this, it would be interesting. But I'm actually really surprised to hear that there's a rum flavouring in this. I have never known that. It's a blend I've been wanting to try for so long, and I've never ever known that it has rum. But there you go. I stand corrected. Thank you, Hector. Alright, okay. Do you know what it was called, Beowulf? If it wasn't for the fact that the Danish Pipe Shop are not exporting tobacco anymore, I would be sort of slowly making my way through my own blends, because the ones that I've tried have been great. And I've only just sort of right at the end of their sort of exporting overseas is when I started trying them. So I've really only tried a couple. I've tried also the ones that Stephen sent me a copy of the Shy, incidentally. Tim, how is your dad? He's been having tests and stuff in and out of hospital, so definitely thoughts going out to Stephen. But anyway, he sent me some of the BS759, which is the match, my own blends match of Balkan Sobrani, which tastes lovely. And I've also got the Vintage Flake from my own blend, which I've got a couple of jars of that, and it's really good. Very, very nice indeed. It does remind me a lot of Orlik Golden Slice. I have said that, and I have wondered whether or not it is actually the same thing, but sometimes it tastes like it, sometimes it doesn't. The Orlik has that orangey, citrusy kind of flavouring to it, and sometimes I think that the Vintage Flake also does, but even just smelling it now, it has that quite a distinct, zesty aroma to it. Rum and whiskey topping. I have tried plum pudding. There was a time when I smoked a heck of a lot of it, especially the Special Reserve. I think I still have 1 tin of the regular and 1 tin of the Special Reserve, which I got a few years ago. It's just been sitting there. I don't think I've ever tried rum, and I've kind of been wanting to because of all its associations with cigars. I wouldn't mind trying a decent rum. Bob's Chocolate Flake, yes, I have scot-free. When I discovered it, I smoked it also quite a lot, but then it got a little bit long in the tooth for me, and I found that the Lakeland aspects of it I didn't really like. Although it's not that present, it's not very forward, it's definitely there. Kind of when you first start smoking it, you can taste that a little bit of Latakia and a bit of that chocolate, and it's really nice. You think, oh great, I found a fantastic crossover blend, and you smoke the heck out of it. But then as you start to appreciate the nuances of the blend, you start to get that Lakeland coming through, and that's when it kind of went pear-shaped for me. Got a whole new appreciation for this pipe after attempting. I mean, those angles are all pretty accurate there. Very impressive. I'm not going to show you the angles on my one with the stem taken off. Too embarrassed. Blood Red Moon, again another blend which I smoked the heck out of a few years ago. That was a blend which I saw Jay of the Dagners, Jason Dagner's father, smoking, and he smoked it literally almost exclusively he started off with Boswell's Cherry Smash and then moved on to Blood Red Moon, and pretty much stayed with that for as long as I could remember. I'm sure he's on other stuff as well, but whenever I saw him smoke, it was Blood Red Moon. So I tried it out and I enjoyed it very much. And my Savinelli 606, the second pipe I bought, I smoked it in there almost exclusively for probably about 6 months or so till I started to get into Latakia blends. Sandro, hi Andrew. Here's the feeble attempt at a bulldog. Thanks, Andrew. Very kind of you to say so. I must be honest, I found it a very big challenge to do it, to make it. Instead, I'm smoking a real bulldog by Tom Phillips. Really nice pipe. Nice rustication. Well, Andrew, have you smoked it yet? Well, it is virtually straight. It's only got the tiniest bend in the stem. It is pretty much straight. Good to hear, Andrew. Chad, how you doing? Yeah, it was a struggle, I must be honest, Chad. This pipe, I'm not sure that I'll jump on it, on that shape too quickly again without further assistance and guidance. Definitely have to get in touch with some pipe makers. So you guys all ready for Crimbo? Ready to rock and roll? Well, the honey, as far as I can tell anyway, and I've done it on virtually every new pipe that I've broken in the last say couple of years. And it's not really for taste or anything like that. It's really just to start the cake off. It really just helps the carbon adhere to the sides of the bowl. Yes, Godfrey, absolutely. I remember that very well. That guy What's his name now? I forget his name, but he's been in the tobacco trade for a long time. Probably 50, 60 years. And for him, I guess it's just like a means to an end to get the thing lit quickly. And he was doing it to a really, really nice pipe as well. I don't remember the make, but I seem to remember that it was a really cool pipe. And he was lighting it with a torch. What's that, Tim? Not really, Simon? No, I missed that. If you catch a flight to London, buy me a whiskey in Mayfair. Do you get a newly made LCS as well? I don't know about that. Oh, I see. Right, sorry, I missed. Yeah, not really. Okay, fair enough. Are you talking about this? I've only smoked it once, and it is quite strong. Absolutely, North Country Fisher. If your humidor is big enough, put the whole thing in. If it's in a cedar box, then the cedar box will absorb moisture. So just be aware of that you might just keep an eye on your whatever it is you use to provide humidity. Just make sure that you keep an eye on it and top it up if need be. Unless you have a Bentley by former Hector, of course. Yeah, you could damp it down. Don't know if it'll make a huge amount of difference. Yeah, I had to say it. Absolutely, Hector. What size is your humidor, North Country? And what size box are you dealing with? Yeah, well, I'll just jar it up. To be honest, if you're going to smoke them, jarring it is the best way to go. I think they age a lot better in the jar. It's been quite a long time since I smoked this pipe. I'm not sure what I had in it before. It would have been a Virginia-based blend. But the Virginia, usually in this vintage flake, sometimes it can be a little bit nippy, which it isn't in this pipe. I'm trying to remember if this was one of the ones of his that I drilled out, because his draft holes, Tom Phillips, were really quite small. I remember in the plateau top one, I did drill it out and it completely changed the pipe. I'm not sure if I've done it on this one. See you, Wildcat. So this one is another one of Tom Phillips, same guy that made this pipe. I've actually had, I think, 4 pipes from him, and these are the 2 that I've got left. But this one, it gurgled a lot. I re-drilled it, and it's turned into a great pipe. It kind of backs up what Rick Newcomb keeps shouting about in his book. He opens his pipes even more to 4.3, and this one has been opened to 4. Imperator Nero, how you doing? Welcome to the channel. Do you guys also ever re-drill your pipes to open them up a bit more? And what size do you drill yours, Jordan, normally, your pipes that you make? Good evening, Mike. How you doing? I've just been showing a bit of a car crash of my first attempt of a Bulldog. Really struggled with the shaping on that. I need to get some advice from some carvers on how to go about it. Still waiting on number 10, or is it 11 we're up to now, Mike? I guess the Christmas post has taken care of that for now. It'll probably arrive while I'm away. This one here, this is, I guess you'd call this a Rhodesian. I was quite okay, fair enough, Mike, you know better than me. After reading Rick Newcomb's book, and he keeps going on about the size of the draft hole, I was actually quite pleased that I've always done mine in 4mm, because I think anybody who smokes any of my pipes, they should have a really nice open draw. Hey, Silver Stars. Mike, do you have any preference on the size of the draw of the draft on your pipes? Do you ever re-drill them? This vintage flake is starting to nip a little bit now. Cool. That's exactly what mine are at, 4mm. Mike, has anybody done a video on the latest challenge? Hey, Curmudgeon. Kevin, how you doing? Yeah, Kevin, it is a bit of a risk, I must be honest. But if you've got a reasonably steady hand, it should be fine. The one that I did when I re-drilled this that big bulldog shape from Tom Phillips, I did that just with a cordless drill. I didn't do it on the lathe or anything like that. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, so it was just a cordless drill, and yeah, as Jordan says, just go slow. Drilling out a pipe to accept a 9mm filter, that's even bigger challenge, to not completely mash up the mortise. Give it a shot, Kevin, on a pipe that you're not too nervous about. You know, if it got a little bit messed up, there's no reason why it should, but what I would say is with the 4mm, is put the drill bit into the draft hole, because you should be not that far off from 4mm anyway, so it would probably well, that's even better advice from Mike. He used to do it by hand. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. What I would say is that once you've done it by hand and you've got a 4mm hole, then maybe you run a hand drill through it, because that will give you a much smoother finish. So I would insert the drill bit all the way, virtually all the way into the draft hole, so that you're not shifting around. So the pipe is actually holding the direction of the drill bit, and when you spin it around, that will give you a nice smooth finish inside the draft hole. Yeah, absolutely, Mike. Definitely worthwhile putting a bit of tape on to guide you, but with the pipe already drilled and you're not blind. You know, usually you need to put a bit of tape on because you're running blind, because you haven't drilled the bowl yet. You haven't drilled the chamber. But if you're doing it by hand, if you're holding a pipe with a hand drill, you can just look and see when you come through. But to be safe, tape's certainly better. Usually when you drill the draft hole, you haven't yet drilled the chamber, so you're blind, so you have to measure it exactly. Hey Giri, how you doing? Made in Germany. Doesn't say Dan Tobacco. Oh yeah, it does. Made in Germany by Dan Tobacco, imported by F&K Cigar Company, St. Louis. And apparently it's not dangerous outside of the state of California, because only the state of California knows this to cause cancer, which is known to the state of California to cause birth defects or other reproductive harm. So just smoke it outside of California, guys. I found it quite strong. Not so much in fullness, but in nicotine. Fairly standard flake, a little bit thin. Got a great tin note. I got a nice email from Paul the Scandinavian. I gave him a shout out the other day because he's just undergone some surgery and he's recuperating. Apparently he's going to be stuck home for about 4 weeks. So anyway, he sent me an email. He said that he's going to be in touch more than ever now that he's at home doing nothing. You live in California as well, do you, Hector? Which flake tobacco do you smoke in Pareta? Nero? Glad to have you back, Daniel. And your front too. That flake tobacco is Formers, made by Down Tobacco. It's called Straight Grain. It tastes fairly, to me it was fairly standard stuff, Virginia wise, but it was quite strong in the nicotine stakes. That's very true, North Country. When I take on a bent bulldog, then I'll be a carver. You know which tins I like the most? I like the little Orly Golden Slice, the little square tins. Tiny little tins. Those are great. I keep one in my car. They're good for just keeping a bit of tobacco. You can keep it in your pocket. It's small. You know those little puck-shaped tobacco things? I forget what they're called. Flax, something like that. Backy flaps. That's the one. Backy flaps. They're actually quite big. A small old tobacco tin, I think, is great. I suppose the only difference is the backy flap just retains the moisture a little bit. But if you just keep an amount of tobacco that you're going to get through in a day or two, it doesn't really make a difference. I haven't tried the Hados yet. I was talking about it before. But Hector told me that basically I want to try it and do a proper first impressions. So I didn't want to do it live or in the car. So I haven't got around to it yet. But Hector tells me that it's got a very forward rum tasting, which I had no idea. How did you find it, Andrew? Yeah, McLarens also do a couple. You're right, and even the Latakia flakes and things like that come in the small square tins, but the Orlik one was tiny. I used to keep a full one. I still have a really old full one somewhere, but I think I've put it back in the cellar. McQuaid plug. Never tried that. I have seen somebody on eBay keeps putting them up for a certain amount of money. I can't remember how much it is, but it was just. Is that something which is a current issue, or is it discontinued? Good question, Geary. Yeah, I thought it was discontinued. I just wasn't sure. I think you're selling a 50 grand plug for stupid money. I can't remember how much it was, but it was 40 or 50 pounds. I've not made a calabash shaped pipe, although this one is not that far off, but in terms of the bend. But I would guess that the Bulldog would be harder. That green and gold rectangular tin, the Golden Virginia. Maybe I'll take the Hallows Delight with me and crack it open on the holiday. Yeah, I've got one of Phil's calabashes, not the acrylic ones, but I've got a Briar one. Awesome pipe. I was actually going to send it back to him to make some kind of adapter so it could take a 9mm filter. But we haven't gotten around to it yet. I had seen some of those images, Chad, of his the latest cane that he made. That's the Phil Rivara Briar Calabash. The amount of work he must have put into this to carve that shape. The Penzance Calabash, yeah. I don't smoke it that often, to be honest. I guess it would have to be a billiard, Daniel, would be a classical shape. The machinery that he's got in his workshop is unbelievable. He's got some machinery which is bigger than my office. He's also very good at turning metal and working on metal. We're happy to be educated, Hector, from the intelligentsia. It's always good to get educated. There's the cane. And he machines all these threads himself. That's gorgeous. And I think the cutter shape, I don't know this definitively, but I think that the cutter shape was born from the original clays, which was really the forerunner for the pipes that we all smoke. Well, if you read the Dunhill book, one of the Dunhill books, you see some pictures of natives literally carving a hole in the side in earth, one hole there and another hole there, and smoking it, literally lying on the floor smoking the earth. Have you actually pulled the trigger, Chad? Good for you. Oh, you commissioned it. Wow. That is awesome. Hi, Desert Pine. Speaking of Phil Rivara stuff, I got this tray from him as well, which I used to use for my pipes. This is a spalted, I don't know which wood it is, but I got this a while back from him, and it just sits on my shelf. It's got a very 3D kind of look to the wood. I noticed he didn't put his initials on this one, and I got him to make me a cigar rest to sit on top of it, like that, which is cool, but I couldn't bring myself to use it as a cigar rest and to ruin this finish. So I just use it sometimes for, like I use that one, just to put my pipes on till I clean them out. Hey, mon Claude. Yeah, I've definitely had thoughts about that, Andrew, but I've basically kept myself busy with the pipes, so I haven't got around to it. And to be honest, I think it'll be a bit of a distraction. Don't want to jump onto too many different things, but it's something which I have thought about. No, I don't think we'll be frying any donuts tomorrow, but we will be frying some latkes. We already started frying some tonight. My daughter made a bunch of latkes tonight, which were very nice. Hector. I like Pipe Nutter. I like his reviews. I like it. So Hector, we haven't heard much from what's his name, your leader, recently. Bohemian. He seems to have gone cold. Onion or no onion? Yeah, that's a good question. I prefer it with a bit of onion. Cut really small. When I did that first pipe, if you guys remember, I did that live, that very first pipe that I turned on the lathe. So there was one main guy, I forget his name, there was one main guy who was kind of holding my hand throughout the process, but he had to pop out for a while, and Pipe Nutter took over. Is his name Jason? I forget. And he took over and carried on taking me through. So I was very lucky. I had both of them just walking me through the whole process, and essentially that's been the basis of my process when I make a pipe. Obviously, you sort of adapt it as you go along, but definitely that was the basis for everything that I do when I turn a pipe. It wasn't Sea Smokes, it was another guy. I thought last time when I talked about it that it was Sea Smokes, but it was another guy, something Homestead, something, I can't remember. I do have a couple of emails from him, because I did say that I would send him something, which I haven't done, which I'm very remiss. Jason Mouton. Cheers, Alvin. Yeah, absolutely. What is the one regret I had when I first started smoking a pipe that you realize now was no big deal? I can't think of one. An easy thing for me to say would be chasing after some of the unicorn blends, but and a lot of people do say that after a while that um, things like Penzance and Stonehaven and all of that are not what they're cracked up to be. But I'll be honest with you, I actually enjoyed the whole process. I enjoyed the chase. I enjoyed that whole. It taught me some of what I know, a lot of what I know about tobacco and about pipes. It was all part of the process, and I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it at all. I think it's all part of the fun. It's okay to relight. If I would say something, I think the only thing I would probably say is that, again, it's not a bad thing because I enjoyed the whole process, but working through lots of different pipe shapes, till you kind of have a feel for the type of pipes that you like. I went through a process in the beginning where I went from getting really big, fancy bent pipes down to smaller pipes, straight pipes, slightly bent pipes. There was a phase when I was buying Boswell pipes like they were going out of fashion. Every single Monday or Tuesday at the time it was, I think, when I first got to know about Boswell pipes. I think it was Tuesdays at 1 p.m. here, or 9 p.m. It was 9 a.m. US time, which made it 2 p.m. here, 2 p.m. in the afternoon. And I remember I used to usually be driving at the time, or oftentimes I would be driving, and I would have my phone tuned in to their website, and I'd just keep hitting the refresh button to see as they were being uploaded. Yeah, absolutely, Andrew. But I wouldn't say it's a regret though. I think it was all part of the learning curve. Maybe I would have saved a lot of money if I wouldn't have done all that. But to be honest, I don't think I've really lost anything financially. The pipes that I've had, I've sold a lot of them. And I don't think I've ever really made a loss on the pipes, because I always tended to buy pipes which were not your sort of basket pipes. They were always a little bit of a step above, and they always sold well. I've my collection, if you want to call it that, has never really been huge. There was a time maybe when it got close to 100, but for most of the time it's usually around 40 or 50 pipes, maybe 60 pipes. And at the moment, in terms of the ones that I actually smoke, it's about 10 or 15 pipes. And I've probably got about, I don't know, I've probably got about 40 or 50 pipes, but they'll dwindle down over time. And I could see myself quite easily being down to about 15 or 20 pipes. Besides, obviously, for the fact that I'm making pipes, and eventually they call to me, and eventually I light them up. But besides for that, so my collection could increase on that way, in that way. But this one is a good example of it. This one, I've had it in my garage for a long time. I reworked it the other day, and I just fired it up. Smokes really, really nicely. That's also true, Chad. Trying too many blends too quickly, definitely. The Codger style that Ben, the Artful Codger, keeps promoting, I think has a lot of value. But again, I would say that I don't. It's something which maybe would have been better if I didn't do it, but I did enjoy it, and I learnt a lot about different pipe tobaccos, so I don't regret it. I think, Andrew, that's more about learning. Once you get used to something. So, for instance, people being completely paranoid about not smoking a pipe twice in a row, whereas historically that's all people did. People had 2 or 3 pipes maybe, or even maybe 1 pipe, and smoked it till it was dead and charred through, and then smoked another one and just repeatedly smoked the same pipe. Whereas we've grown up in a more much more sort of hobby, rather than it being just a vehicle for imbibing nicotine. It's much more of a hobby for us, and therefore the aesthetics are more important to us, to a lot of us, not all of us, but certainly to a lot of us. The aesthetics of the pipe is really important, whereas previously it wasn't. So for us, we're much more OCD about these things, and we take much better care of our pipes than our forefathers did. Much better care of our pipes. So a lot of people have a pipe for each blend or for each genre and stuff like that, and which I do. I certainly keep my Virginias and Latakias and aromatics separate. The only pipe which I've done a bit of cross smoking is actually this one, because I just wanted to smoke it. So I've smoked Virginias and Latakias in this one so far. What about the Quebec? No, I see what you mean. No, the Quebec, although it's been a testing pipe for me, I use it to test out blends. It's only Virginia blends though, Virginias and Vapors. Yeah, I see what you mean about that. It is a bit of a blank canvas kind of pipe, but I don't use it across genres really. Do they have Christmas sales at Swiss airports? I have no idea. I'm not going to Switzerland, that's for sure. Not a country I'm in a rush to go to. Although I had a great time when I was there last time. Went on a fantastic tobacconist crawl. I had 1.5 days. I was there for a couple of days. I was there doing a wedding. So on the day of the wedding, I had a couple of hours. I went to a couple of tobacconists, but the following day, I spent probably 6, 7, 8 hours on my feet walking around the town in Zurich. Oh, I see what you mean. I Havana. I don't know. They've got a couple of specials on at the moment. I Havana have, if you like, the Drew Estate Privada range. They've got some specials on there. Yeah, Beowulf, that's a very valid point, because you do get caught up in it, and you see so many people with so many pipes, and you think it's the done thing is to get loads of pipes and increase your rotation, increase your collection. That's a good point. Switzerland is very expensive, unless you're buying online. But if you're going into the shops in Switzerland, it's mad expensive. And I still can't get my head around the price of Davidoff cigars. Davidoff cigars are just ridiculous. They cost more than Cuban cigars in Switzerland. Australia has really, really restrictive regulations on tobacco. Daniel, yes, in principle, yes, you do want to let a pipe rest in between, but it doesn't mean you need 100 pipes. You know, you could have, 10 pipes and you'd be absolutely fine. You could have less even, but you certainly don't need to have 100 pipes for that. You can have, I would say, for me, an ideal number is between 10 and 20 pipes. That's really the position that I've come to now, after being a pipe smoker for about 4 and a bit years now. I would say that my sweet spot is between 10 and 20 pipes. Hector was checking his Swiss account, his Australian account. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree, Gary, that the Davidoff cigars are really mild. I find them a little bit too thinly flavoured, and I find that they turn over to bitterness too easily. I'm not a big fan of Davidoff cigars. There are exceptions, of course. The recent release, the Late Hour, is a fantastic cigar. I was talking to Andrew about that, and I've enjoyed whichever ones of those I've smoked. I really would like to get some more, actually. What was the other one? The Nicaragua. The Davidoff Nicaragua is a good smoke. The Yamasa is also quite nice. The Oliva V's are pretty good. For a while I smoked the Oliva Serie V Bellicoso, a very nice cigar, but I prefer the Milanos. The Milanos have just got that extra bit of sweetness and smoothness and refinement to them. I think they're a great cigar. The Milano is one of the cigars which I think actually deserved the accolades from the Cigar Aficionado magazine. I'm not a great fan of that magazine and the ratings and so on, but in terms of, I used to really enjoy reading it, but now I just find it too non-cigar related. But I don't always agree with their ratings in terms of my palate, but that was one cigar which I would agree with. In terms of dollars, it would be about $20, I think, nowadays. We pay on average around between 14 and 15 pounds. 14 and 15 pounds equates to, let's say, let's go with 14 pounds. It's $18.20 currently. Depends where you buy. If you buy online, you're paying about 13, 14 pounds, 14.50 sometimes. So about $18. If you buy it in the shop, it's probably more like $20, $21. Alright, gentlemen, I'm going to call it a night. I can't go to bed too late tonight because I've got a job later tonight. Later today, I should say. You know, I shall be on my feet for quite some time, so I'm going to have a reasonable night's sleep. Thanks very much for joining, everybody. Thank you, Chad, North Country Fisher, Daniel, JMZ56. Thank you for joining. Desert Pine Piper, Andrew, Jordan, Daniel, Tree, Geary, Hector, Beowulf, Curmudgeon, Kevin, and everybody else. Mike, if you're still there, thank you very much for joining. A good, enjoyable chat as always. Thank you very much. Enjoy your holidays, everybody. Have a great Christmas. Happy New Year. And we will catch you on the next one, I guess. Maybe I'll manage to do something whilst I'm away, wherever it is I'm going. Maybe we'll do a little bit of a live or a video there. Maybe I'll take the Haddo's Delight and do a video when I'm away. We shall see how we go. Good night, everybody. Thanks again.